The Diddy trial is officially fire. What up, everybody? It's Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic, your lawyer inside the Diddy courtroom. If that's your sort of thing and you want to get perspectives from a New York litigator who's practiced in this very courtroom, I urge you to please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell, because this Diddy trial is taking off this afternoon, and oh my God, was it electric. Now, in case you don't know the background here, the state's case is that Diddy has sexually trafficked two women. One of them is Cassie, who spent 4 days last week talking about the years of abuse where she had to participate in freak-offs, which were sexual encounters with third parties. When you heard her testimony, she seemed very conflicted. She still expresses levels of love, at the very least, for the time she spent with him, and respect, and that he helped sculpt who she is today, and at the same time was describing patterns of abuse which were very unsettling for those of us who had to sit through listening to all the beatings that she took, punching her, kicking her, blackmailing her, threatening her that he was going to release videos if she didn't do what he wanted to do. The state has presented a case that she's been under his financial thumb, that he signed her to a label of doing 10 albums and made her work all the time to produce songs that he would never ever release, and designed to show that she was completely under his thumb and his control. But if you listen to her testimony, there was some sort of confliction that you certainly could tell in there, because she's continually expressing things to him that show love, and even that she, at certain times, that she didn't really detest the freak-offs, that she said she had to say to him. But it was very conflicting testimony. In order to shore that up this morning, the state brought on Dr. Dawn Hughes. And Dr. Dawn Hughes is a clinical psychologist, board certified, who came out there and tried to explain what it's like for someone who suffered years of domestic abuse. She talked about how they form a trauma bond, and how in certain ways they love the person in more than you have in a healthy relationship, and that they're continually walking on eggshells. She covered 4 primary areas. 1, why they stay with them and go back to them. 2, she was talking about their coping methodology. 3, she talked about their disclosures and how they make those disclosures. And 4, she talked about their memory and how it could be somewhat, and why it's going to be hazy, and certain things are really clear and other things are not, and that's consistent with the way it should be if you suffered from years of trauma. Well, that was potentially disastrous for Diddy, who's hoping to present to the jury and that they'll find that she was sincerely doing it out of love, and not that she was just some sort of trauma victim testifying. So this afternoon, we got real fire from the defense counsel. Not in an angry, aggressive way at all. He actually came out there being very soft-spoken, talking to her about how she clinically tries looking at things and assessing it, but it's a blind trial. It's a blind assessment, which is what she testified on direct. She never met with Cassie. She's just talking in general theory how things work with domestic violence survivors. But then he goes, you talked about coping. You talked about different methods of coping. There's a formal method you mentioned, which is if you talk to police or healthcare workers, that's formal. And then you talked about informal coping, where you said that's where they go when they talk to friends and family. So where would you classify someone who goes straight to a civil attorney? And the witness is like, and if someone goes to the civil attorneys to help them get money, right? So is that formal, is that informal when they talk to a civil attorney? Because that was what Cassie testified. One of the first people she disclosed her story to was her civil attorney. Then he said, what about, we talked about memory recollection. What if they go to the police and things are very hazy? Yeah, that could be sometimes. Are you familiar with the term prevarication? You mean lying? Yes, I mean lying. Is that neurobiological when they're engaging in prevarication? No, not always. Oh, okay. And let me ask you about when we have these prevarications and things are hazy. Do you think that, and then they go and talk to a civil attorney and then they're less hazy? What do you think about that? And the entire room I was in, the jury viewing room, was just like, oh man, oh. And then he kept going in harder. He started talking about how she always testifies. She's testified in 65 different trials, this forensic psychologist. She's forensic and clinical. 65 trials, and she's like, you're always sitting there on behalf of domestic violence, domestic abuse sufferers, and that you've given seminars, and the idea being that she's always taking the side of someone who's purportedly claiming that they've been a victim of domestic violence. And then he started going in about how she's been working for the government. She presented this morning as if, well, she's just, some independent forensic person who's here to inform the jury. And while she admitted she was getting compensated by the government, he got out of her that she was helping the government with their briefs, that she's helping and consult with them as to how they should talk to, how they should present and set up her testimony. And when she talked about the seminar, and he's laying out there how you're helping train people how they should testify as expert witnesses in other domestic violence situations. And now you're working for the government and you're helping them with their briefs. And the whole room every time was like, oh my God, oh wow. Like, he was really hitting on her really hard. But on redirect, when Reen Comey was handling redirect, she wasn't pulling punches either. She said, when we sent you briefs to review, the facts of the case were kept out of it, because this was an important element, that she's not supposed to know the facts of this case. She's talking just general policy, general rule. And she's like, yeah, when we sent you those briefs, they were redacted, weren't they? Yeah, and why were they redacted? So I wouldn't know the facts of this case. Oh, okay, and also, do you only work for the government when you testify? No, many times for the defense. In fact, one time you testified on behalf of one of the defense attorneys who was sitting in this room. And she said, yeah, that's right. Anyway, that's what I have for you right now. I'm going to break it down for you in great detail tonight, probably around 9 o'clock. Please make sure you tune into that. I'll see you at that time. Till then, take care and Godspeed. Fire, fire, fire.